Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saguna Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitam Sya Om Agyana Timrandasya Gyanachana Shalakaya Chakshuram Milidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gorva Bhishtam Supurkam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Venanipanam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govinda Vidam Ujvalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Premno Bijapranam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shivaram Mareka Sharanam Yasishvara Sridharam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Madhya-lila chapter 8, talks between the Lord and Ramananda Raya, and I'll begin with verse number 69. Nanopachara krita pujanam artabando premnaiva bhakta hridayam shuka vidrutam shad yavat shud asti jatarej charata pivasa tavat sukaya bhavato nanu bhukshapeye. Ramananda Raya continued, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. As long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. Very nice verse. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate tatra loyam api mulyam ekalam janmakoti sukritarna labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. That means if you can buy love of God and if you can buy Krishna consciousness in the marketplace, then you should purchase it. Doesn't matter what the price is. Prabhu kohe eho hoy age koho ar raya kohe dasya prema sarva sajyasar. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, this is all right, but if you know more, please tell me. So the Lord's accepting this, and he's saying, but if you have something more to say, continue. In reply, Ramananda Raya said, spontaneous loving service and servitude as exchanged by master and servant is the highest perfection. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, this is all right, but if you know more, please tell me. In reply, Ramananda Raya said, spontaneous loving service and servitude as exchanged by master and servant is the highest perfection. So actually, service is the basis of all loving relationships with the Lord. Everything has the element of service in it. Yan mama shruti matrena puman bhavati nirmala tasya tirtha pada kimva dashanam avasishyate. A man becomes purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet create the holy places of pilgrimage. Therefore, what remains to be attained by those who have become his servants? So if you become purified just by hearing the holy name, then even more so when you begin to engage in a service relationship to the Lord. Bhavantam evanu charannirantara prashantanishesha manoratantara karaham aikantika nitya kingara praharshayishyami sanata jivitam. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage in as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? So some people, they don't have an attraction to service, just like the saying of the devil, it is better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. So the service idea is not appealing to some people, but they should think it through a little better. For instance, say in this world, a person is rich and he goes on a joyous holiday. He goes to, where glamorous places like where in the ocean they have holiday places in the ocean. What's it? Tahiti, for instance. He goes to Tahiti and the Riviera and all that. But he doesn't go alone. He takes his servants with him, right? So he's going to Tahiti. His servants are also going to Tahiti. He's eating a nice meal. The servants are also eating a nice meal. But that's calculative form of service. But I'm just saying, still, you can understand that the idea of, and in a loving relationship, even between man and woman, if the man just says all the time, I love you, woman, even as wonderful and beautiful as she may be, she'll get tired of just hearing that. She'll say, well, you have to put groceries on the table, you have to provide a house, you have to get a new car, and all these things. Prabhu ko he eho hoy kichuagyar, Raya ko he sakya prema sarva sadyasar. Hearing this from Ramananda Roy, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. In reply, Ramananda Roy said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. So here by the word fraternity, we mean friendship. Friendship. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasham gatanam paradaivatena maya shritanam naradharakena sardam vijayru kritapunya punja. Neither those engaged in the self-realization of preaching the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, neither those engaged in self-realization of appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Master, nor those under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord and in friendship as cowherd boys. So to an external observer, I remember in college they used to say, it should be intuitively obvious to the most casual observer. And somebody who's observing might think Krishna's friends, cowherd boyfriends, they're just like small tykes, they're just ordinary persons. But here it's comment, this is made by Sukadeva Goswami. He says, neither those engaged in the self-realization of appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Master, nor those under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. That after accumulating heaps of pious activities, we could say, and not normal sense of piety, sukriti, they're engaged in spiritual activities. They've accumulated so much sukriti that they are now in a position of cowherd boyfriends of the Lord. And to some external observer, even like Lord Brahma, he's looking at them and he's saying, who are these boys? They don't seem cultured at all. Their activities are very rudimentary. Sometimes they're imitating the croaking of frogs and hopping by the Jamuna and skimming rocks along the water, flat rocks. They're not sophisticated at all. But person can't understand that you're judging by an external appearance, and you can't understand that these persons are so exalted. They have accumulated heaps of pious activities. Prabhu kohe eho utama age koho ar, raya kohe vatsalya prema sarva sadyasar. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Ramananda Roy then replied, loving service to the Lord in the parental relationship is the highest perfectional stage. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Ramananda Roy then replied, loving service to the Lord in the parental relationship is the highest perfectional stage. Yeah. Nanda kim akarod brahman shreya evam mahodayam yashoda va mahabhaga papo yasya stanam hari. Ramananda Roy continued, O Brahman, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna call her mother and suck her breasts? Nemam varincho na bhavo na shrir apiyanga samshaya prasadam lebirye gopi yatat prapa vimuktidat. The favor Mother Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Lord. Always, Lakshmi, who always remains on the chest of Lord Vishnu. Prabhu kohe eho uttama age koho ar raya kohe kanta prema sarva sajyasar. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better one after the other, but surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow or rasa, and you can speak of all of that as the most sublime. Ramananda Raya then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position in love of Godhead. So here, conjugal relationship, and sometimes people think conjugal or conjugae means wife, but no, this refers to loving relationships with the Lord. In this world, we would say between man and woman, like that. In general, love of God is devoid of the intimacy of ownership. In the case of love in servitude, there is a want of confidence. There is a want of increased affection in the fraternal relationship. And even when the affection increases to the parental relationship, there is nonetheless a want of complete freedom. However, when one becomes a conjugal lover of Krishna, everything lacking in the other relationships is completely manifest. Love of Godhead lacks nothing in the conjugal stage. The summary of this verse is that parental love of Godhead is certainly higher than fraternal love, and that conjugal love is higher yet. It was when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested Ramananda Raya to go further that he came to the point of the conjugal relationship, which is the highest perfectional stage of transcendental love. Nayam Shriyonga Nitantarate Prasada Svaryoshitam Nalina Ganda Rucham Kutonya Rasotsavesha Bhuja Danda Grihita Kanta Labda Shisham Ya Uragad Vraja Sundarinam. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa-lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in this spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers, and what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to the material estimation. So, this is not correct thing to say, but I sometimes augment this verse a little bit. When Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa-lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers, and what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation, but may not smell so good. Well, that shouldn't be said, but here it says that none of these women who have relationship with the Lord or have seen or know the Lord, their position is nothing compared to that of the gopis. When Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa-lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. Tasama virabuts chori smayamana mukambujo. Tasama virabuts chori smayamana mukambuja pitambara darashwagvi sakshan manmataha. Suddenly, due to their feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among the gopis dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus face was smiling, and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. Krishna praptir upaya bahuveda hoy, Krishna prapti taratamya bahulta achai. Krishna prapti rupai bahuveda hoy, Krishna prapti taratamya bahuta achai. There are various means and processes by which one may attain the favor of Lord Krishna. All these transcendental processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. Kintu jaraje rasa se sarvatam tatasta hoya vicharile achetaratam. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for him or her. It is true that whatever relationship is a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for that devotee. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. Yatotaram aso svara vishesho lasa mayapi ratir vasanaya shvadvi masate kapi kashyachit. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another, but that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desires manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. Purva rasera guna pare pare hoy duitin ganane pancha paryanta badai. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows from the initial ones to the lower ones. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows from the initial ones to the later ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellows are manifested, counting from 2, then 3, and up to the point of 5 complete qualities. Madhavmars. Here is where you asked a question about the comparison with the elements and sky and everything. This is where it is. There's a gradual order of improvement in transcendental rasas or mellows, from the initial ones to the later ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellows are manifest, counting from 2, then 3, and up to the point of 5 complete qualities. Gunadikya svaradikya bare pratirase shantadasha sakya vatsalyer guna madhurate baise. As the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellow. Therefore, the qualities found in dasharas, therefore the qualities found in shantaras, dasharas, sakyaras, and vatsalyaras are all manifested in conjugal love, madhurya ras. Akashadir guna jena paraparabhute duitin krame bare pancha prativite. The qualities in the material elements, sky, air, fire, water, and earth increase one after another by a gradual process of 1, 2, and 3, and at the last stage in the element earth, all 5 qualities are completely visible. Paripurna Krishna Prapti E Prima Hoite E Primara Bhasha Krishna Tahe Bhagavate. Complete attainment of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is made possible by love of Godhead, specifically Madhurya Ras, or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of life, by this standard of love. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Complete attainment of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is made possible by love of Godhead, specifically Madhurya Ras, or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of love. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. To explain the topmost quality of conjugal love, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives the example of the material elements: sky, air, fire, water, and earth. In the sky, space, there is the quality of sound. Similarly, in the air, there are the qualities of sound and touch. In fire, there are 3 qualities: sound, touch, and form. In water, there are 4 qualities: sound, touch, form, and taste. Finally, in earth, there are all 5 qualities: sound, touch, form, taste, and also smell. Now one can see that the quality of the sky is in all, namely in air, fire, water, and earth. In earth, we can find all the qualities of material nature. The same can be applied to the rasa known as Madhurya Ras, or conjugal love. In conjugal love, there are the qualities of neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, and parental affection, as well as those of conjugal love itself. The conclusion is that through conjugal love, the Lord is completely satisfied. Conjugal love, Madhurya Ras, is also known as Sringara Ras. It is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam that in the complete combination of loving service to the Lord, namely in conjugal love, the supreme form of conjugal love, Madhurya Ras, is also known as Sringara Ras. It is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam that in the complete combination of loving service to the Lord, namely in conjugal love, the Supreme Lord fully agrees to be under the control of the devotee. The highest form of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani. Therefore, in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, we can see that Krishna is always subjugated by Srimati Radharani's influence. Mai Bhakti Aribhutanam Amritat Vaya Kalpate Distyayad Asinmat Sneho Bhavatina Mad Apanaha. Lord Krishna told the gopis, the means of attaining my favor is loving service unto me. And fortunately, you are all thus engaged. Thus, living beings who render service unto me are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world and attain eternal life with knowledge and bliss. Krishnara pratigya drida sarvakalayache jai jaiche bhaje Krishna tare bhaje taiche. Lord Krishna has made a firm promise for all time. If one renders service unto him, Krishna correspondingly gives him an equal amount of success in devotional service to the Lord. Yeyatam mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamiyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarvashaha. According to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prita. This means when he says, I reward them accordingly, as they surrender to the Lord reciprocally, relates with the person according to the love and the surrender of the person. The Lord also has that kind of loving relationship with his devotee. According to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, as all surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prita. E primera anurupa napare bhajite ateva rinihoy kohe bhagavate. In Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that Lord Krishna cannot proportionally reciprocate devotional service in the Madhurya Ras. Therefore, he always remains a debtor to such devotees. Naparayeham niravadya samyujam swasadu krityam vibudhayushapiva yadmabhajan durjaya geha shringala samvristitadva pratiyatu sadhuna. When the gopis were overwhelmed with dissatisfaction due to Lord Krishna's absence from the Rasa-lila, Krishna returned to them and told them, "My dear gopis, our meeting is certainly free of all material contamination. I must admit that in many lives it would be impossible for me to repay my debt to you because you have cut off the bondage of family life just to search for me. Consequently, I am unable to repay you. Therefore, please be satisfied with your honest activities in this regard." When the gopis were overwhelmed with dissatisfaction due to Lord Krishna's absence from the Rasa-lila, Krishna returned to them and told them, "My dear gopis, our meeting is certainly free of all material contamination. I must admit that in many lives it would be impossible for me to repay my debt to you because you have cut off the bondage of family life just to search for me. Consequently, I'm unable to repay you. Therefore, please be satisfied with your honest activities in this regard. Na parayeham niravadya samyujam swasadu krityam vibudayushapisa yamabhajam durjaya geha shrinkala samvristya tadva pratiyatu sadhuna." So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, "Yeya tamam prapadyante tamsta taiva bhajami yaham mama manu vartante manusha partha sarvasha." So as persons surrender to me or relate with me, I correspondingly relate with them. But here he says, this is true, but the exception is in the case of Madhurya Ras. Krishna says to the gopis, "I am unable to match your love. Your love is so great that I am not able to relate with you on that same degree because you are just so great. I'm not of that magnitude." So he says, "Therefore I will remain indebted to you." Yadyapi Krishna Saundarya Madhuryara Durya Brajadevira Sangetara Badaye Madhurya. Although Krishna's unparalleled beauty is the topmost sweetness of love of Godhead, his sweetness increases unlimitedly when he is in the company of the gopis. Consequently, Krishna's exchange of love with the gopis is the topmost perfection of love of Godhead. So it's not static. You can't relate with the love of the gopis to the degree of their dedication and surrender. But his love, his feelings, his nature, his love is always in competition, is always increasing. Although it may not attain that level of them, he is competing. His loving feelings are increasing. Tatrati shubhe tatrati shubhe tabir tatrati shubhe tabir Bhagavan Devaki Sutta Madhye Maninam Haimanam Maha Marakato Yata. Although the son of Devaki, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a reservoir of all kinds of beauty, when he is among the gopis, he nonetheless becomes more beautiful, for he resembles a Markata jewel surrounded by gold and other jewels. Can you look up what is Markata? Just Prabhu ko he e sadhyavari shunischaya kripa kore kahajari age kacho hoy. Markata, M-A-R-K-A-T-A, Markata jewel. No, Marakata, M-A-R-A-K-A-T-A, Marakata jewel. Prabhu ko he e sadhyavari shunischai kripa kore kahajari age kacho hoy. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "This is certainly the limit of perfection, but please be merciful to me and speak more if there is more." Raya ko iharage puche hena jane etadin nahi jane achaye bhuvani. Ramananda Roy replied, until this day I did not know anyone within this material world who could inquire beyond this perfectional stage of devotional service.
Marakata is emerald.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, green.
Okay, Raya Ramananda, Raya kohi iharage puche hena jane ekdin nahi jane achaye bhuvani. So here it says, although the son of Devaki, the Supreme Personality of God, is the reservoir of all kinds of beauty, when he is among the gopis, he nonetheless becomes more beautiful, for he resembles a Markata jewel, surrounded by gold and other jewels. Prabhu ko he e sadyavadi shunischai kripakore kahajari agekachu hoy. Lord Krishna replied, "This is certainly the limit of perfection, but please be merciful to me and speak more if there is more." Raya kohi iharage puche hena jane etadin nahi jane achaye bhuvani. Ramananda Roy replied, "Until this day I did not know anyone within this material world who could inquire beyond this perfectional stage of devotional service. No one ever asked me to go beyond this point, but till today, ihara madhye radhara prema sadhya shiromani jahara mahima sarva shastrate vakani." Among the loving affairs of the gopis, Ramananda Roy continued, Srimati Radharani's love for Sri Krishna is topmost. Indeed, the glories of Srimati Radharani are highly esteemed in all revealed scriptures. Yata Radha Priya Vishnos Tasya Kundam Priyam Data Sarva Gopishu Saivaika Vishnur Atyanta Vallabha. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Sri Krishna, her bathing place, Radhakund, is also dear to him. Among all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the supermost and very dear to Lord Krishna. Anaya radito nunam bhagavan hara ishvaraha yanno vihaya govinda pritoyam anayadraha. When the gopis began to talk among themselves, they said, "Dear friends, the gopi who has been taken away by Sri Krishna to a secluded place must have worshipped the Lord more than anyone else. Prabhu kohe age kaha shunite pai suke apurvamrita nari bahe tomaramuke." Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Please speak on. I am very happy to hear you, because a river of unprecedented nectar is flowing from your mouth." Churi kore radhake nila gopi ganer dare anyapeka hoile primer garata nasfure. During the Rasa dance, Sri Krishna did not exchange loving affairs with Srimati Radharani due to the presence of the other gopis. Because of the dependence of the others and Because of the dependence of the others, the intensity of love between Radha and Krishna was not manifested. Therefore, he stole her away. Radha lagi gopira, Radha lagi gopire jari sakat kore jaga, tabe jani radhaya krishnara gara anuraga. If Lord Krishna rejected the company of the other gopis for Srimati Radharani, we can understand that Lord Sri Krishna has intense affection for her. Raya kohe tabe shuna primera mahima, tri jagate radha primer nahika upama. Ramananda Roy continued, please therefore hear from me about the gopis. Ramananda Roy continued, please therefore hear from me about the glories of Srimati Radharani's loving affairs. They are beyond compare within these three worlds. Ramananda Roy continued, please therefore hear from me about the glories of Srimati Radharani's loving affairs. They are beyond compare within the three worlds. Gopi Ganer Rasa Nritya Mandali Chariya Radha Chahi Bane Fire Vilapa Korea. Finding herself treated equally with the other gopis, Srimati Radharani displayed her tricky behavior and left the circle of the rasa dance. Missing Srimati Radharani's presence, Krishna became very unhappy and began to lament and wander throughout the forest to search her out. Kamsarer api samsara vasana bara shringalam radham adaya ridaye tatyaja vrajasundari. Lord Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, took Srimati Radharani within his heart, for he desired to dance with her. Thus he left the arena of the rasa dance and the company of all the other beautiful damsels of Braja. Itas tatas tam anushritya radikam anangabana vranakina manasha kritanutapa sakalinda nandini tadanta kunje vishasara madhava. Being afflicted by the arrow of Cupid and unhappily regretting his mistreating Srimati Radharani Madhava, Lord Krishna began to search for her along the banks of the Yamuna River. When he failed to find her, entered the bushes of Vrindavan and began to lament. Edui shlokara arta vicharile jani vicharite utejena amritarakani. Simply by considering these two verses, one can understand what nectar there is in such dealings. It is exactly like freeing a mine of nectar. So the two verses are Kamsara api samsara vasana bara shrinkalam radikam Kamsara api samsara vasana bara shrinkalam radam adaya ridaye tatyaja vrajasundari. Lord Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, took Srimati Radharani within his heart, for he desired to dance with her. Thus he left the arena of the rasa dance and the company of all the other beautiful damsels of Braja. In the other verses, itas tatas tam anushritya radikam ananga bana ranakina manasha kritanutapa sakalinda nandini tatanta kunje vishashada madhava. Being afflicted by the arrow of Cupid and unhappily regretting his mistreating Srimati Radharani Madhava, Lord Krishna began to search for her along the banks of the Yamuna River. When he failed to find her, he entered the bushes of Vrindavan and began to lament. Edui shlokar artha vicharile Vicharile jane vicharite ute jena amritarakane. Simply by considering these two verses, one can understand what nectar there is in such dealings. It is exactly like freeing a mind of nectar. Shatakoti gopi sange rasa vilasha taramade ekamurte rahe rara pasha. Although Krishna was in the midst of hundreds of thousands of gopis during the rasa dance, he still kept himself in one of his transcendental forms by the side of Srimati Radharani. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Tomorrow we'll continue.
¿Puedo preguntar en español?
Okay.
Cuando se habla de las categorías de las razas, se habla de inferior y superior. Por ejemplo, que Dasya raza es superior a Santa raza y así sucesivamente. Se podría hablar de igual de categoría a la entidad viviente que está en un particular nivel de esas razas, que sería inferior a la que está en...
No, the question is about, we're speaking about inferior or superior relations in rasas. But if the living entity is in a particular rasa, that living entity will not recognize other rasas as being superior or inferior, because that person will be completely satisfied with the relationship that person has and will not be able to distinguish. So that point is already made when it says before we talk about which rasas are higher and lower, that comparatively, that on the level of one's internal satisfaction being in a particular rasa, we can't speak about inferior, about superior or inferior. But if we look at this analytically in terms of a comparative study of what is love of Godhead and the qualities of love of God, if we look at it in that way, more like analytically, then we can see that there are different levels of loving relationships with the Lord. Just like if we, for instance, consider Sakya Ras. Sakya Ras is friendship. But there are two levels of Sakya Ras. One is with great awe and respect, and that would be the Sakya Ras that is more present in Vaikuntha. And then there's another level of Sakya Ras or friendship, which is more intimacy, and there is lacking of respect. And you can see that has consequences. For instance, sometimes I've heard from devotees, they say, well, when they're cooking, they don't taste anything because they were told originally that you shouldn't try to enjoy what is being offered, so they don't taste things they were told. They said, in many cases, they said they were told by Srila Prabhupada that they shouldn't taste while they're cooking. But then Srila Govinda Maharaj, he indicated that you should taste when you're cooking because you want to see if it's, you're offering to Krishna, you're offering to Radha Krishna, you want to know if it tastes right. Now, when a mother is cooking for her child, she will taste to say, oh, well, this is a little too strong. I should thin it out a little bit for the child. So on one level, on respect, one will not taste because I don't want to contaminate this offering by introducing my own sense enjoyment. But it's not really, but we can go beyond that sense of enjoying, even if there may be, oh, this tastes good. You could say, oh, you see, there is enjoyment. He's enjoying. Yeah, but that person wants to see if what is being cooked is suitable. It is made. Oh, it needs a little more salt. Oh, it needs some more pepper or something like this. So, and if we consider the individual rasa that a person has, with the Lord, then we won't speak of higher or lower. But if we consider that from a more viewpoint of seeing which relationship of love is higher, because certainly we would say the relationship of love that's exhibited in Gokula or Goloka, that is the relationship of Vrindavan. That is a different relationship than exists in Vaikuntha. Because why? Why in Vaikuntha there is more the sense of Aishvarya Gyan, awe, reverence, and majesty, reverence, majesty, respect. These are qualities of Vaikuntha worship, and certainly their loving relationship between the Lord and his devotees in Vaikuntha. But it is said elsewhere that those relationships are rather a little bit crippled by this sense of awe and reverence and majesty. So those qualities of awe, reverence, and majesty and respect, they're not there in Vrindavan worship. For instance, the cowherd boys are saying, "Oh, what is this? I can defeat Krishna. He's not so strong. I'm stronger than him. I fight with him sometimes and I win. So I'm stronger than him. Krishna is no match for me." They're thinking like that. So they have love for Krishna and they're playing with Krishna. And they have service to Krishna because they're serving Krishna in their loving relationships. But their relationships are not crippled by awe and reverence and respect. So that point is being made. Anyway, I will now sing Hari Haraya and we'll continue. And it's continue with our Thanksgiving rasas. And we could say for our Thanksgiving dinner coming up that no tofus were harmed in the making of that dinner. No tofu turkeys were harmed. All right. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama Jaravaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama Gopa Govindaram Shimaru Surdar Govindaram Shimaru Surdar Girirari Gopinatha Madana Mohan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Dharadhara Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Dharadhara Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raghunath Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Hey Jai Gosai Gauri Charanam Mandan Jai Gosai Gauri Charanam Jai Te Vidyana Shavi Sapuram Jai Te Vidyana Shavi Sapuram Hey Jai Gosai Jarmui Charadas Jai Gosai Jarmui Charadas Rasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagas Rasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagas Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Padma Koriya. Guru Vaishnava Padma Koriya. Hare Ram Sankirtana Kohai Narottam Das. Hare Ram Sankirtana Kohai Narottam Das. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Jai Saparikara, Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakachari Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Tilat Neri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakakshridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sigawa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai, Shri Mayapur ki jai, Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Koladvip ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai, Sripad Bhakti Raman Madhav Maharaj ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari.
Jai Vishnu Paramahansa, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad ki jai.